if you saw something like that? Come on.
Personally, I probably would be scared, honestly, because that's my dad or whatever, and he's supposed to protect me. So I would think, like, I'd probably be scared or something like that, and it's scared for my sibling because, like, she's 4. You know what I'm saying? Because he could be doing this to her too. So yeah.
Anybody want to elaborate on that? Anybody want to talk about that? Has anybody ever known a child to experience that? You don't have to say who. What? Oh, okay. Shed said, of course. What was it on your job or somebody personal? On your job? Okay. On your job. How did you tell us how you helped the child with what they, and this is called sexual exploitation. Okay? Sexual exploitation. This is when children see things of the sexual nature, like pornography. They see adults having sex, see naked bodies, things like that, seeing the genitals, things like that. This happens in households and in families, in foster homes, in adopted. I mean, it happens everywhere. So we have to learn how to help our children through stuff like this, if it's revealed. So can you tell us how you helped a child and what was the nature of the trauma? Was the trauma severe? Was it mild? Can you talk about that for a little bit?
It was mild. It was working its way up to be something more severe. So it was what we did was we pretty much just like told her that wasn't like appropriate behavior for a dad to display, and we explained to her what it was because the child didn't understand what that was, and explained to the parents that we need for you to cover up and things of that nature, and what that does to your child in the long run. They had to go through some parenting classes, and of course there was other actions that had to be taken, stuff like that. So we did.
Okay, and when the parents before they took the parenting classes, were they aware that there was something wrong with that?
The mom wasn't aware. The daddy was very much so aware. He knew what he was doing.
Did they deny that they did anything wrong?
The daddy did.
The dad did. Okay. All right. And the mom had no knowledge of it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, she knew how he walked in the room, but she didn't think, nothing of it. Like he just walked in the room, saying goodnight or whatever. She wasn't thinking that he was trying to be predatory until the child, was like, hey, went to school and said what she said. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody got questions for Chandra? For Nevaeh? Okay. So, I know personally children who have experienced that. And it is a vision or a visual that they never get out of their heads when you see things like this. And it is very traumatizing. We're talking about sexual exploitation of a child at this point right now. We're doing different scenarios. And we're going to talk about, you'll read your scenario, and then we're doing role playing. And you'll pretend that you are the person in the situation. Janila, did you do one last week, sweetheart? Okay. Who else came in? Junior, did you want one? Okay. Yes, get a microphone. Thank you. Okay, so we're role playing, and this is a necessity. We need to talk about things of the traumatic nature when it comes to relationships. Chief Apostle wanted us to talk about relationship trauma. Can y'all say that with me? Relationship trauma. Uh, it is true that trauma happens in every single relationship, right? When it comes to mother and father, mother, father to children, children to the parents, um, grandparents, any caretaker, anybody that's over any type of child, any type of who live with a grandparent in foster homes, wherever. Marital trauma, sibling trauma, trauma on the job in professional relationships, So it happens everywhere, right? Okay, who has number? Oh, yes. Do we have some more mics?
Testing. I just also want to say this too, and this has always been around. This has been around for years. But as I was sitting there thinking, there was a time when we, as adult or our children, we had pride they didn't see, and then there was still some things going on then. But then I sat back and I think about back in the days of the 70s where they had these different movies coming out with these different scenarios, like it was okay to walk out in front of your child naked, or it was okay for them to just be able to walk in the room when you're in the middle of having sex or intercourse, and it wasn't a big deal, and it wasn't explained. This just happens in life. And as I sit back and I think about that, it's like it just took a whole nother leg, a whole nother life in itself, and it just took off like it's okay. And so many people fed off into that nonsense. And so many people fed off into that nonsense, just like they do with a lot of the nonsense that go on in Hollywood today. So it escalated even more. You're okay. It escalated even more. And I'm not, but you're fine. He didn't, you're fine. Lay down, you're fine. And you're fine. Uh, he's all right. But so much emphasis and too much is put into what Hollywood does. So many people take on the life of Hollywood, and there are a lot of different pictures I could name that had these same scenarios in it, and it played out like it was normal. It wasn't a big deal. That's why I call Hollywood a cesspool, because that's all it is. It feeds a lot of nonsense. So that just kind of came to me as I was sitting there thinking, and so many people that picked that idea up, they thought that nonsense was normal. It wasn't a big deal.
And I agree, because things happen like this in homes, and you think that it's normal, uh, because you're raised up in it. Yeah. So, and if it's happening to you, even though you feel bad, and sometimes, if you're old enough, you'll know right from wrong, and you will know, oh, this is wrong. This is not right. But a lot of times children don't tell. They keep stuff until they grow up, and probably till they pass away. Some talk about it, some don't. There are different. Why do y'all think children don't talk about it? Y'all just talk to me for a minute. Why do children not tell if someone harmed them?
First, they don't think no one will believe them.
Okay.
They don't think anybody will believe them.
Right. They don't think anyone will believe them. And you said same thing. Okay. All right. Who else says something? Why don't children tell?
Fear.
Fear. Fear. Fear.
Because,
yes, that's a big one.
I say lack of
and they are told
communication
that,
already.
that it's their fault.
Yes, that's a big one. That's a big one. Oh,
Um, I said lack of communication with the parents.
yes. Good
So
one.
their communication is broken between the child and the parents to where they feel safe enough to let them know.
Yes, yes. And if you don't teach your child that you can tell mommy anything, you can tell grandma anything, you can tell papa anything or daddy anything, they may not know that they can. And then fear can come in too. Fear of what?
And also, if it's one of the parents that is doing it, that confuses you. Who do I tell? You're the one that's supposed to protect me. So how do I?
Well, I was just about to say kind of basically that, but not just fear of what will happen to you, but what will happen to the person who does it to you.
Right, right. And I want to just give a personal testimony. I was 15 years old and I was raped by a family friend who told me that if I told, they wouldn't believe you because they love me so much. Okay? And it was true. It was true. It was true. My mother did not believe me and blamed me for the rape because this man had such an awesome rapport with the family. And he was also my nephew's father. And my nephew was a kid at the time, maybe 6 years old or something like that at the time. But my mom did not believe me. She believed the man. It happens. We talked last week about when things happen to children and they come and tell you, the first thing you should do is believe them. I'm going to tell you now, I have experienced a child making up something. I only had one incident out of hundreds of cases that a child lied because she didn't like the boyfriend that mom was dating. Okay? But it was still something questionable about the man. Nothing was proven, but she didn't like the man. And she finally recanted her statement and said that, he did not molest her. I don't know. It was determined that she lied. I still got questions, today. This was like in 2010. I remember the case, but you have to believe your child. Just believe them. Just believe them until it's proven a lie. But don't traumatize a child and say it didn't happen, they didn't do it. That hurts more than the act itself. That's horrible. Because what they have done is opened up. They became brave enough to come and tell something so horrible that has happened. And then you say it didn't happen. It can crush a child. Okay? And completely. And then what else can happen? They're not going to trust. That level of trust is gone now. If mama or daddy or grandma or whoever didn't believe me, who would? Yes.
I believe that if a child comes and says that something's happened to them and they go and tell an adult that, hey, this has happened to me, and somebody says, oh, no, it doesn't, that gives them permission to let themselves let it happen again.
Yes. Very good point. I was in social work college, in social work classes, social work college. Y'all know what I mean. And we had scenarios like this, for the classroom. And the instructor asked, why did this mom not believe the child that came and said such and such did this to me? My answer was this: because the mom has not even faced her childhood trauma. The mom is in denial of her own pain. Therefore, she cannot deal with anything that has happened to her child because she can't even deal with her own stuff. So it's easy to pretend that it did not happen. How often does that happen with children and adults? I know rape victims right now. I know a woman who was raped. She didn't call the police. This was just a few months ago. She didn't call the police. She don't want nobody to call the police. She don't want it to be revealed, by anybody that can help her. She don't want to go to therapy. It happened. But she told me it happened. But she's allowing me to work with her. But I tried to convince her to file a police report, and she doesn't want to do that for whatever reasons I didn't press. But things happen to adults all the time, and we can't deal with it. And it's a reason behind that. Yes, you trying to say something? Are my eyes cocked or something? I'm looking at this.
No, because I didn't raise my hand or anything.
I saw you get the mic. So.
Oh, okay, I guess. Deuteronomy 23, 25. It's other. Of course, you got to read above and be, stuff. But
Deuteronomy what?
23.
Okay.
25. But if out in the country a man happens to meet a girl pledged to be married and rapes her, only the man who has done this shall die. If they were still killing cats for doing that, then a lot of that stuff will go ahead and cease, But like Margaret said, this was happening before her era. This has always been happening, stuff like this, and sexual immorality and stuff. But I just had that thought when I read that, Deuteronomy 22. I'm sorry, I said 23. It's actually 22. 22 and 25. Yeah, it says some other, stuff about if somebody caught in, two people caught in adultery and stuff like that. But I just wanted to throw that point out there of the scripture. A lot of times stuff will cease if you put that punishment forth. And we was living in those type of days. I think that even though it's going to happen anyway because of the sinful nature of man and the sexual immorality that man has in them, man, woman, or whatever, but if they ensured that, I think it'll be a lot more people come forth also. If I know that you're going to die for what you've done to me, a lot of more people will probably come forth, Blah, blah.
It's been forever. I like watching movies from the 16, 17, 1800s. And this stuff it's been prevalent forever. But it's the one thing that I used to hate to hear as a kid. Don't you tell nothing that happens in this house. You keep our business in the house. You keep my business in the house. Don't you tell anybody. Do you know how powerful that is? What can that do? Anybody was raised up like that? What would that do? What can that do to a child? If you're told, and the parent don't even know if anything has even happened to the kid, and I'm saying, but it could be domestic violence in the house, or mom and daddy fighting, or whatever. Something went down, something happened. Yeah, I saw a bunch of stuff as a kid that I'm not gonna tell, but I saw a bunch of stuff that was exploitation. It was exploitation. Kids are put in grown-up stuff all the time. And we have to be very careful with that, because we got to be careful how we groom our children, how we raise our children, because then I want to say when you create that monster, then you want to beat them. You want to do this. You want to send them away. You want to, they so bad. You make them the black sheep of the family. They weren't born that way. Kids are created that way. Things happen. We see things. We hear things. We feel things. We experience things to create, I like to say, the other me. not the real normal me. The abnormal me is the other me. It's the one who's traumatized. It's the one that's hurt. It's the one that's hurting and crying out for help. And a lot of times we don't want to take the time out to pay attention. We're busy working. We're busy doing this. I'm tired or whatever. Your child start acting out. You need to pay attention. Your child get real quiet on you and isolate. Pay attention. Grades start dropping. Pay attention. Behaviors change. You need to pay attention. Is something wrong? Seek the Lord about it. All the time, your kids are not going to tell you what has happened to them. Put on your discernment. Seek the Lord, your intuition. Send them to therapy. Go to therapy with them. Bring them to the pastor, pastoral counseling, Christian counselors here. I mean, it's all kinds of help for traumatic children who are experiencing traumatic things. Too agreeable. Good. Yeah. If they become too agreeable, check it out. Thank you, sweetheart.
With
You know what kind of burden is on that child when they can't speak out? You know,
She
what
said, do you
goes-
know what kind of burden is on the child when they cannot speak out? Yeah, this mic is low. It's kind of low.
That's creating a whole nother monster right there in itself. You know, you're afraid of what's going on in the home, but you also have that fear that you can't speak out on it. You go back home, you know there's major trouble. That's going to break loose in that home. And so now you've created a whole nother monster. I've sat back and seen and kind of studied even some of these so-called serial killers. They weren't born serial killers. No, they were made. They were created. And some of this same crazy nonsense that we're talking about right now.
There was a case where, you're next, Junior. There was a case where a mom was kissing on her teenage son and making him feel she didn't have sex with him, and she didn't even touch him anywhere except on the lips. She would kiss him in the mouth, tongue kiss him, all of that. Yes. Yeah. Huh. The tongue. The real biological mama. The real mama was kissing on her son like a romance. It's like she had this romance going with him. She never had sex with him. She never touched him on his genitals, his behind, or anything like that. But she was kissing him in the mouth with her tongue all the time. This child said, he was about 14. This child, when he grew up, he did not trust women. He could not commit to a relationship, to a romantic relationship. No commitments. He couldn't do it. Why?
because she violated him.
She violated him. It is so many ways to violate. She violated him. That happened to me when I was 8 years old. Not my mom. Not my mama. No, not my mama. Not my mama. Let me clarify. It wasn't my mom. It was a family member, but and it was a man, but I was 8 years old, and he kissed me in my mouth and put his tongue in my mouth. And he had been drinking, and I could smell the alcohol. He was drunk when he did it. To this day, I don't like to smell alcohol on the breath. I don't. It's a trigger. You know, I don't lose it or nothing. I don't go into a depression or nothing like that, but I just don't like the smell. I don't like the smell. It reminds me of that. So, did you say what you needed to say? Did you forget?
No, I was just going to say with the keep the business in the house thing. When I hear that, I used to hear family members in our family say that, the older generation, and that always felt like a setup. It was always a feeling of keep it hush hush. Nobody needs to know what's happening in this family. We'll deal with stuff in this family. Anything outside of it is going to be embarrassing. But it was things that needed to be revealed to keep it from happening to somebody else. And right, it was never dealt with. And what that did for me, it forced me to create a character for the public. I was one way in private, another way in public. I learned how to have a poker face. I learned how to smile at church. I learned how to shake hands and nod and be politically correct. And behind closed doors, I was a mess because there was so much that I saw within the family that needed to be addressed, so many things that we need therapy for, we need to talk about. But at church, at school, the hospital, wherever I was in public, I had to force myself to act like everything was okay, which made everything worse. And that weight of that caused me to have a lot of bad decision making as an adult, which caused me to have a lot of trauma that I put myself in because I didn't deal with the stuff that was happening because the adults around me didn't make it okay for me to address it.
Thank you for sharing that. It's yes, yes. And that's what Miss Margaret was saying. Can you imagine the weight and the pressure on a child who has to deal and hold those kind of things, and things are not getting resolved. Things are not being handled, but you have to keep secrets. Okay? And we know that the enemy, he thrives when it comes to secrets. And he want to depress us. He want us to be full of rage and, mistrust and all of that kind of stuff. And when we see things happening around us or in our home as a kid, what do you think happens when you can't trust your mom or your dad or your uncle or your grandpa or your grandma or your sibling, your brother, your sister, whoever, the family friend? You can't trust people because they harmed you and you're traumatized. Are you going to grow up and easily trust God? No. That's one of the ways that the enemy can get us as a kid. He can cause so much mistrust in human beings that we see and deal with every day of our lives, but a God who we don't see, how are we going to trust him? Why did he allow it?
But we know the answer to that, right? No, no. When she was like, "Why does God allow this to happen?" Us in here, we do. Do we know the answer to that?
Do we know? Do we know the answer to that? You can
Sin, because of sin. Just simple as that.
And people have free choice, free
Yeah.
will.
Yeah,
they
but God didn't design it this way. But since sin hit and put that film over the earth, everything is jacked up. The earth start throwing up thorns and thistles and all this stuff. Apparently it wasn't doing that before. You know what I'm saying? So everything got jacked up. So I just say, let us remember when we ask the question, if we ask the question, why does God allow this stuff to happen?
So that being said,
Huh?
We
Yeah.
live in the natural and in the spiritual world, and there's good people and there's evil people. And some people,
she said we can't hear.
I said also to go along with that, we live in two worlds. We got to understand that, when we ask that question, why does God allow that to happen? God don't have nothing to do with that. We live in two worlds. We live in the spiritual world and we live in this natural world. And there's good people and there's evil people. And people are just evil just for the sake of being evil. So, why are we getting mad at God, because of that, Well, because that's your opinion. I'm just saying what I'm saying. So, but so why, so people, we shouldn't really get upset and mad at God because of that and stop talking to them about it. Keep talking to them about it.
And that's another plot of the devil too, to make you angry against God so you won't develop a relationship with him. So you won't trust him. So you won't go to him, because you do feel when you don't have an understanding of God and who he is and all of that. Yes, as a kid or even adults, why did God let that happen? Well, how could he, if he's a good God and da da da. So those of you who are going to be counselors and therapists and things like that, this question is going to come to you. How did God let that happen? Why did he let that happen? Where was he? So what are you going to tell them? You have your answers, okay? Very important. Who? Mary? Okay, I see you, Mother.
I was just going to ask the question, then those of us that understand and know that it's because of sin and because of evil, the reason why people do what they do, then how can we get upset at the individuals that allow evil to take over them and do these different things? How can we get upset when we already understand that they're of this world, they're full of evil? You know what I'm saying? So they're going to do what the devil tells them to do. So then how can we get upset with that?
Well,
that was my question.
okay, good question. We get upset because, first of all, it's an injustice. And we are, like Chandra said, we're spirit beings and we're natural beings. So we're gonna deal in the natural. We live in the natural. Yes, we have to forgive, but when anytime harm has happened or occurs to anyone, if you don't get angry, I'm gonna think something wrong with you, because anger is a normal response. It is a normal reaction, a normal feeling to harm. So holding stuff, okay, now we're talking on another level, okay? Being mad for 30 years, or, and not even if you don't understand what we just all said, about that, about these type of acts. I mean, it's like, okay, you have a right to be angry. You have a right to feel those things because harm has come to you or your child. And like I said, I hope I'm answering your question. But as I said, like if it's prolonged feelings of anger, that's going to turn into what? Rage. So then we've gone too far with it. It's very important that we get help when stuff happens to us so that we won't hold on to stuff. But how can we? If we understand that people are evil some people can be evil in nature and let the devil use them and demons use them and stuff like that, we can still, I guess, is that what you were asking? Where are you saying we should not be?
I got. Oh my God.
Why people do the things that they do that are evil. If we fully understand, then I'm saying if you fully have an understanding of the way God has orchestrated this thing, and that people in this life is going to do evil things towards you. Let's just make it towards you, not towards your child, not towards you. How can you get upset at that when God has gave you a outline of showing you that these things is going to happen and the reason why they happen? And you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I would say
and
from,
but
who's talking?
that's me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We still will feel accordingly. We will still hurt. We will still feel pain because we ain't made it to heaven yet. We ain't made it there yet. So we're still going to feel the effects of pain, of hurt, of attacks, and all of that. So, and I understand what you're saying, but how can we? It's because we are human. We're in the human form. I know Bishop talks about being superhuman and stuff like that. And, yeah, I can't say that I done made it there. But, because when someone hurt me, I'm going to feel it. When someone angers me, I'm going to feel it. Whether I hold on to it or not, whether I do something about it or not, I may not even say anything to the person. I won't retaliate. But how can we get upset? It's because we have natural feelings. Okay.
She said, and she doesn't, like, in response to finish it, and I don't understand why they did what they did.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
me.
yeah. That's good too. Yep. And I don't understand why they did this. Yeah, okay. What, Stanley back there having a fit? What?
He was messing with me because I had
Sister-
my hand up. It's two people in front of me.
Yeah, Sister Clementine was next, then Robin. Okay.
This is really good.
Can we get her mic up a little higher, please? She got the blue one.
talking?
Oh, it's high enough? Okay.
This is really good because this is real. This is going on. I can't put it all in words. I can, but I use wisdom.
Yeah, we're having trouble hearing you.
Oh, okay. I deal with peoples with these situations, and I know of many, and it's like a mother took advantage of the son, and it's going on. It has went on, and still going on. But it's nothing that the law can do about it because of the child's age. But the child was removed out of the house. And it's a hurting thing when you hear of this. That child talks, repeats, just a little autism, but smart as he can be. And I listened to him because I let him talk. And he told me that. And then changed over, But he always said, I love my mama. I miss my mama. And I'm just tore up, mother. And that messed that child up. And it's like we have a high priest that what is that scripture that can't be touched by the feelings of our infirmity, and each one of us is in the same way. We can feel that, and I worried about that child, but I got to the point where I didn't worry about it because the damage is done, and he coming back this way, But it's a hurting thing to know of and see it, these here situations. And I tell you, I cried when I come away from that child, like that was my child. A mother can feel another mother when they talk about things. And I believe that child would have been more normal than what he is if that particular thing wouldn't have happened to him. Oh, I tell you, I worried about him. But I got myself together because I have to realize I ain't none of God or Jesus, and that I can't carry that load, but I can pray through. Pray through. It's a hurting thing. It really is. And I was listening at everybody, and it came to that situation, but there's many more I knew of. And it's just like, why would you put your hands on your own daughter? Your own, why? It's just a demon that's running rampant in the earth. And it's like prayer. Prayer can stop it. The fervent prayer of the righteous can stop it. And God put us in the midst and around these peoples and situations to pray for these people. But it's something.
Thank you for that. Thank you. And it's rampant, and we just talked about how things like that can happen. I know we still, how could you do that? You know, how did that happen? And things, we know the evil part of it. We know even the psychological part, traumatic part, vicious cycles happening. You know, if it was done to them, sometimes they'll do it to someone else. You know, not all the time. And I want to say something about that. Robin, you're next. But I want to say something about choices. Even if someone has been molested or raped or physically beaten or neglected, you don't have to do that to someone else. If you know people who are doing that, you know, 9 times out of 10, they did not get help with that stuff, and now they're just continuing this vicious cycle. But if you make a choice and you say, I'm not going to do to my kids or to my grandkids what someone did to me, you won't do it. It won't happen. Our choice and our volition, our freedom of choice, that will on the inside of us, it's a very powerful thing. We don't have to yield to sin. Amen? Robin.
Whoever does speak, please speak directly into the mic.
I was, well, I'm just answering Mary's question. But I know for me personally, like, it angered me because it felt like I didn't have a choice. So it's like feeling like somebody took, other than taking something from me, it's like I have to deal with what they did. So I have to deal with the residue. Like, okay, yeah, this happened years ago, but there are, even though somebody is molested or raped, whatever the case may be, they still was in the act of that, and it doesn't keep them safe from the demonic attacks, and you still have to repent from that. And it's just, like I said, all the residue over the years that the things I have to deal with, and not knowing how to properly fight those things off spiritually, and even, getting mad at God for all the, what you call those things, intrusive thoughts. And, and finally, when you come to and you learn how to fight, it's a matter of repenting, because like I say, even though you were a victim, you still was involved in that act, so you have to repent. You still have to deal with the demonic attacks from that, so you have to rebuke and renounce the things, and get the enemy cast, that spirit cast out of you. And it's just a matter of, like I said, just being upset, because it's like, I got to deal with this because of you couldn't control yourself, because of you and your demons. And like I said, it's growth. And then also, you can't hold on to those things, because it can make you sick. Holding on to unforgiveness, it will make you physically sick, get you all kind of involved in all kind of physical ailments. And it's that physical aspect, because we are human beings. And even though learning that, God is holy, God is, mercy and do it forever, we still are human, but it still does not negate the fact that we have to forgive, because the Bible says we have to forgive. It does not say, it doesn't give us, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't give like, okay, you can forgive, but there's no buts. It's just we have to forgive, because if we hold people in unforgiveness, we will not enter into the kingdom. So it's just a matter of, at some point, just like, okay, learning to forgive, and just reading the word and learning how to fight, to heal from those things.
That's so true. We and thank you for sharing that. It is so important that we learn how to fight against the devil, his demons, principalities, powers. demonic things in high, principalities in high places, all of that. Can somebody get that scripture for me about principalities and rulers of the darkness and all of that? It's important that we learn how to battle. We got to learn how to battle. Like she said, intrusive thoughts. If I asked a show of hands, who has intrusive thoughts that they have to fight probably on a daily basis, whose hand would go up? Intrusive thoughts. And there's nothing, you're not doing nothing wrong. I want to let you know that. See, the devil wants us to think that these intrusive thoughts are ours. We got to learn how to distinguish between what's our thoughts and what's the demon. I get so mad. And yeah, he will play on your trauma or your unresolved trauma or your resolved trauma because he always going to want to come back. And he always going to want to he want us to sin and he want us to do this and he want us to do that. So I get mad. I just start talking to him like I'm talking to somebody. Like, if you don't get on out of here, I know something. Because I used to think it was me. And I'm like, and like Robin said, I got upset with God. Why is this happening? God, it wasn't God. God didn't do it. It's demonic stuff that's attached to and associated with things that we've gone through. The intrusive thought is not going to be about something you didn't experience. It's going to be about the experience. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Ephesians 6. I'm going to start at 11. I'm going to read 11 and 12. Put on the whole armor of God that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Yes. Helmet of salvation. What does a helmet do for your head? Salvation protects us. Okay? Breastplate of righteousness. What does a breastplate do? You think about a soldier back in, it protects that vital organ, the heart. Righteousness protects the heart. It protects the soul. None but the righteous shall seek God. We see that, we sing this song, gotta live holy, gotta live right. If you want to see Jesus, I forgot the rest. Over there, get right, church, and let's go home. Okay, that's the song we used to sing. So breastplate of righteousness, feet shod with the gospel of peace. Feet, what does that mean? Feet shod, covered with the gospel of peace. Loins girt about with truth. Did I miss one? Oh, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word, right? And the shield of faith. Thank you. And the shield of faith. Okay? That's our armor. And we have to wear it at all times. Oh, we're going to get beat up, toe down to the floor. We're going to lose the battle every time. Amen? Who has the number 7? Number 7. Scenario number 7.
I think I do.
Okay.
Every time, you ready?
Yes.
Every time every time you're, I know that's what you meant.
It may be, yeah, thank you.
It's okay. Every time your mom goes in the bathroom to use the, to use the bathroom or shower, she leaves the door open. You have seen her naked body a countless number of times, and it makes your stomach hurt each time you see her. You are 14 years old. You two are the only people living in the house. How do you handle this? Wow.
You're the 14-year-old. We role playing again. So how would you handle that situation? How do you think you would as a 14-year-old?
Because I got to be the person.
Not as Miss Mary, the powerful evangelist, but as the 14-year-old girl.
I wasn't always like this. No.
She said she wasn't always.
It's the truth.
Wasn't always powerful.
But anywho, I probably, you know what? It's so many things missing here. Like, do would I communicate it to her? I don't know if I would. Um, you know what? I'ma say I probably would not say anything, and I probably would still keep that where I feel uncomfortable, and I probably would keep it until I'm an adult. That's
And that's pretty normal.
I,
And
I'm
and when you
just-
become an adult, do you think you would reveal it to anyone?
and then if it's me, it's the young me. Then one day I will walk into a church where Apostle Nathaniel Green and Lady Rose Green were the leaders, and they would help me to get that trauma out of me.
Thank you, Miss Mary. We got something up here.
When you become an adult, and I'm just speaking on my behalf, not nobody else and stuff, I would feel that I would be able to go back and say, hey, Mom, can we sit down and talk? This is what I want you to know, and this is how it made me feel. You know how it made me feel. You know, you still, you're going to come in for that. You're still going to come in for the deliverance, because that pain is still there. But still, I think I would go to my mom and say, Mom, when I was 14, you did this, da, 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 da. And I need to let you know how this made me feel.
Yes, ma'am. I definitely agree with you. That's why everybody is different.
Yeah.
Because I'm speaking as I endured trauma, I would say that was even worse than this.
Right.
And I didn't speak up.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine myself dealing with this and not speaking up.
Right.
Because there was a lack of communication in my household.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I didn't feel like I was safe enough or able to communicate to them how I was
Right.
hurting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's why I say that for me, that was just for me.
Yes,
How I
everybody
felt.
is different. True. That's right. Amen. Right. So everybody is different. And, we can kind of go back and remember our 14-year-old self, and how we would handle things. And even, some kids may say something when they're kids, and most probably wouldn't. But when you grow up, you can, okay, you can, talk to your mom or whatever. Even if, and I just want to say, I want to ask this. Why do you think, what would be a reason why someone would always go in the bathroom and always leave the door open, cracked, you don't lock the door, anybody can walk in, see your naked body, see you sitting on the toilet, getting out the shower, drying off? Why do you think
Lust.
someone would do that?
Lust.
Okay. All right. Gizzy?
Well, like in my instance, like I don't leave the door open, but I don't always lock my door, or I don't always close the door, depending on. Yeah, I do have all girls too, though. But I mean, depending on, I guess, what kid is in the house. Because if it's just me and KJ and Chloe or something like that, then I would leave it cracked or stuff like that. The way I can still hear, to hear what they're doing in that instance. But yeah, that's just me though. But yeah,
Yeah, and that's a mama thing. I don't see nothing wrong with that at all because as a grandma, if my two grandbabies in the house and Eli, he's into everything, and I gotta watch them. They don't see my naked body, but I got that door cracked so I can hear and see. So we're talking about exploitation. Where it's not normal. So where it's not normal. Okay. But thank you for that.
Well, for me, oh, somebody was talking? Okay, okay. For me, I always think about as a parent, is this appropriate? If I feel like I'm exposing myself, it's not going to happen. I feel like it's a difference in you keeping an eye and you having to, do certain things to do things. Then it comes in what is making you do this. Because if you have a pattern of always leaving the door open, always exposing yourself, stepping out the shower naked, you never have clothes on, and everybody sees you, you need to look at your pattern. Because if you're doing this habitually, something on the inside is telling you it's okay. And then it's no longer, oh, I'm just keeping an eye on. Something in you is saying that this is okay for this to happen, and it's not a problem. But are you looking at, is this as appropriate behavior for me as a parent? Do my children need to see my genitals? As a man, do they need to see my balls? Do he need to see the penis hanging? Just keep it cut and dry. Ask yourself those real questions with the vagina. Do you need to see my vagina? No, that should not happen. And that's why I say lust, because it's a difference between those two. It's for me, that's real cut and dry. You're either doing right in that area, or with that, it's no gray. It's no gray in between areas with that. It's either right or wrong. Cover yourself up.
Right. So let's keep talking about this because this is a real issue. Okay. I put the scenario as a 14-year-old girl, always seeing her mom naked. Let's say it was dad. Let's say it was your brother. Let's say it was your sister, whoever. If you living with grandma or whoever, and it makes your stomach hurt. Like, man, this don't feel right at all. And like I said, it's something wrong with the person that is doing that. Something is not quite right. Because that's not normal. That's not normal. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like my son, I never liked it. I don't know why. I don't know. I thought it was just a boy thing. He would just float through there and just his boxers. And I would just look at him and be like, why? And then sometimes he would talk to me and prop his leg up and and I'm like, and I'm looking at him like, are you serious right now? And so when I was married, he did the same thing. And my husband looked at me and I looked at him and we both just shook our heads. So he said something to him about it. And he just looked at him like, what? So what I did was to get him to stop doing that, I asked him this question. We both asked him this question. We said, would you like it if we start floating through the house like you float through the house? And he was like, ew, yuck, that'd be so gross. Well, that's how we feel right now. Go put some clothes on, please. And I told him, I said, it's not appropriate for you to come and prop your leg up talking to mom with all your stuff swinging in her face. I don't want to see that. Go put a shirt on and put some pants on before you come talk to me, please. I don't know why he started doing that, but he did. But it was quickly nipped and done with,
Well, good. That's a good real live case. Okay, that's good. And did y'all hear that she said it was nipped in the bud quickly? She handled it, and we gotta stop as parents just letting stuff slide. That's abnormal. If it's abnormal, deal with it. Help the person face it, whether it's your child, your spouse, or whoever. Help them deal with the stuff. And if they don't, try to get them some help. If not, you can always talk to the pastor. You can talk to the first lady if it's something that you feel like you can reveal, okay?
But do you know how many children grow up thinking that normal? Now, the first thing she said when she said that about him, what came to me is TV, Disney movies, all these different movies that put these scenarios out there like it's normal and it's not a big deal. You see what I'm saying? And then in a lot of households, the parents don't correct them on it, And, as far as the mom that is going in and leaving the door in is always naked, I picture her growing up in a household like that where she grew up
Sexual
like that.
trauma.
Yeah, and she was traumatized. So, but still, to her, that was a normal thing.
And we got to look at the times. I know when I was a kid, I never saw my grandmother or my mother's vagina or their butt. I did see breast because it was girls in the house, and my grandma used to say, I only do this when all the girls are just in the house. You know, she didn't do it around the boys. But she didn't walk around like that. But if she was changing her clothes or something or had us in the room with her or whatever, I mean, and I didn't feel exploited. I didn't feel like she was going to harm me. I didn't feel like she was going to hurt me. I didn't feel like she wanted me to look at her, you know, or she was lusting after me. I didn't feel any of those things. But I know a lot of children do experience that because they do see and they do feel.
I'm sorry, I know I'm talking a lot tonight.
I love it. I want y'all to talk.
But I enjoy these type of conversations because this is how I raised him. We have these type of conversations. So this is normal for me to talk about. With children seeing their adult parents, for me, I'll just speak for myself, it messed me up. I saw my dad having sex, full on. I saw him wiping himself after sex, after he had climaxed, full naked. And it messed me up. And what it did, as I put in my book that y'all really should read, it planted seeds of incest. That's what it did.
Say that again.
It planted seeds of incest. That's what it did. For years, I struggled with attraction to my father because I saw him naked. Several times. He did it on purpose.
Yeah.
He sat me in front of the TV and made me watch sex scenes on movies. Pornography and what's that stuff? Anime stuff. It was normal. Everybody with everybody. So as I grew up, I needed intensive therapy because I saw my father's genitals. And what people don't realize that it may seem innocent, but you're planting a seed. And demons attach themselves to things that are not discussed. So if you're planting seeds unintentionally or intentionally, your child is going to grow up with that, and the longer they grow up with it, the stronger it gets. And then you start to act on things, and then you have desires, and then you have thoughts, and then you have imaginations, and then you go out and do things, and it's a chain effect, which is how I got into homosexuality. Because I saw my father's penis.
Exploitation.
It goes back to my childhood. Right. So as a parent, be mindful. Be mindful. That's the best thing you can do. Ask yourself, is this appropriate? That's honestly how I started dabbling in sexual exploitation and different things with men for years. Everything I've done with men goes back to my childhood because of what I saw that was okay. Right. So.
Thank you for sharing that. You know, it's not an easy thing to share your stuff. So, you know, it's that, you know, some people have been through some deep stuff. And when we share, it's to help someone else, you know. So it's I'm gonna leave that one right there. Leave that right there. Who has number 8? Alicia.
Okay. Okay, mine says you were on a date and the guy you're dating asked you to have sex with him in the car after the movies. You told him you were a virgin and you weren't ready. He forced himself onto you and raped you. He didn't hit you or anything, but he pried your legs open and took it. You were crying and yelling, "Stop it," but he won't stop. After it's over, he takes you home and said he'll see you tomorrow at school. How do you handle this?
Okay.
How am I supposed to read that?
You are. Did I put an age in there? Did I put an age?
You did not.
Okay. So you were on a date. The guy you're dating asked you to have sex with him in the car after the movies. You told him you were a virgin and you weren't ready. Okay, so he basically forced himself onto you. Just put yourself in a situation. It is you. Role play. How would you handle this?
I would say So, me personally, going through something like that, that'll probably have me not depressed, but I'm definitely gonna be like, I had to sit there for a minute after, like once I get in the house or whatever, sit there and be like, what just happened? And I'll probably sit there crying through the night. But when I get up the next morning, baby, I ain't going to school. I'm gonna sit there and talk to my parents, and I'm like, listen, this is what happened to me, and I'll probably throw out that okay, I maybe knew that this was gonna happen, or he was probably throwing out signals that before he even told me about having sex, he's probably throwing out the signals that that's what he wanted to do.
That's good.
And I'll be like, okay, this might be my fault too, but I'm telling y'all anyways, because I know how my daddy is. So, amen.
How could that be your fault too? Explain.
Well,
Or
I'm
you
just
said
I'm just
probably.
saying scenario. Now I'm scenario wise.
Okay.
If I would think it's my fault, well, like I said, I already knew what he wanted, and like I could already tell what he wanted. And I guess I could see how he probably treated a whole nother girl the same way before me or something like that. It's just little stuff like that that I pay attention to, but I also pushed aside, and I didn't care.
Okay, I got you. Okay, that makes sense, and that's realistic, because we sometimes push away the red flags, as y'all call it now. You know, you see the red flags, but then you like, you know, you feeling something, but it's like, you know, hey, you know, and like she said, he was probably giving those signals already, you know, coming after her for sex, even knowing that she's a virgin and she wanted to wait. So I want to say this now. Well, let me ask this question. What would you do? What would you want, or what would you think you need for yourself now, the next day? You talking to your parents and, you know, whatever. How would you handle the dude at school? You know, what moving forward, how do you think you would handle it?
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna see him at school if I tell my daddy. So, I'm just playing. No, but no. Well, if I did see him at school,
Let's say he's still alive.
yeah, let's say he's still alive and he coming to school, then for one, I know I'm probably still traumatized by what happened. So I know I wouldn't approach him. So I'll probably just avoid him in the halls and try not to speak to him. But if he approaches me, that's a whole nother situation. I don't know.
If he approached you, okay, I know you can't really say what you would do or
Yeah,
what you would say, but you know, we're
I don't
role
know.
playing. How do you think you would feel mentally? I heard you say I wouldn't probably be depressed, but you know, what if depression tried to set in? You know, sometimes it can do that. Some people can move on, some people can't. You know, do you think that? What would you do if you start to feel depressed?
Well, I know if I'm already open to my parents about what happened in the first place, I know that they'll probably constantly be checking up on me. So I know I will have an outlet of some way if I was feeling down about the situation, if I let the situation get to me. Like I said, if my parents would ask me, I would tell them how I'm feeling. I would tell them that, okay, this has me depressed. I can't believe I let this happen to myself. I probably would still, even if they tell me like, no, it's not your fault or stuff like that, that's probably not going to change my mind. I'd have to change my own mind about that, and it'll probably take me a minute to get there. So it'll leave a mark on my soul.
Yes.
I want to say something.
Okay, let me interject this real fast, and I'll let you go. I want to add this in. Okay, now what could be a result of this date rape? Now, no means what?
No.
If you like a guy you like them so much, you know, but you're a virgin. You're not ready to have sex. You're not trying to have sex. Even if you're kissing them, even if, you know, whatever. But when it comes time for the sex, the penetration, you're saying no, but he go ahead and does it. That is rape. Call it date rape, but it's rape. Rape doesn't have to be violent. You don't have to get beat up, cut up, you know, kicked in a ditch, left for dead. That's violent rape. Rape comes in a whole bunch of forms, but rape is rape. So if you're saying no and it happens, that is rape. Okay. What if he had a sexually transmitted disease and he gave you gonorrhea? He gave you chlamydia. You know, you find out 3 months down the road something is happening and man, now you got an STD. Or you got pregnant. You got pregnant. So it's a lot of stuff that can happen as a result, even within depression. You're angry with yourself. You know, you don't forgive yourself. Man, I should have known better. You know, it's a whole lot of stuff that can go with this. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, all of that done happened and taking place against your will. And you can press charges. Don't wash up. Don't take no bath. Go as you are. That's evidence. That's what I was.
Right. Thank you. Yes. Evidence. You can't press charges because it is rape. I don't care if you know the person. I don't care if you were on a date. It's still rape. Yes, sir.
I want to deal with anybody feeling that it's your fault when if a guy does something like that. I believe I've been in that type of scenario before, you know, and if the girl was fast, you know, she talking that mess, and we about to get there, we kissing and stuff like that. If she don't want to do it, you step back. And then you go tell the homies, you know what I'm saying, and bust her out in front of the crowd, you know, oh, she talking that mess. She ain't about that life, blah, blah, blah. No, there's no reason that a dude, you know, should want to go ahead and do that. That's not normal. And it's never the girl's fault, no matter what. It's a power trip or something. And you sit there, and most guys who don't do stuff like that and sit there and beg for it before anything, you know, oh, come on, baby, just touch it. Oh, come on, baby. You know, just do, you know what I'm saying? You'll be trying all this other stuff, you know, and you know, even that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, you're gonna try everything else besides force your way up in there. So it's never the woman's fault if she tells him no and he forces his way up in there. You know.
That is so abnormal. It's abnormal, and it's an evil act. Because my husband and I talk about this all the time. It's too many women and men out there that will have you, that will want you. If you just want to have random sex with somebody or whatever. I mean, it's too many people out there that are willing to do that kind of stuff. Why do you have to force yourself on anyone? Why do you have to molest a child? Why would you have to rape someone? It's a power trip. It's demonic. It's an extreme lust situation. I mean, it's like a bunch of stuff. It's something wrong with you. Something obviously happened to you. You need some help. Okay?
I wasn't going to say that. I'm just going to say it was about control. Rape is generally all about the control. That person has lost control somewhere in their life where they feel like they need to take it back somewhere. And generally, they feel like they found somebody weaker, so they're going to take it in that capacity. That's what it is about. They weak in the mind.
They could be what? They could be being abused at home.
Exactly.
Being beaten by daddy or mama, being bullied at school.
Right.
It's all kinds of stuff that can become a result. Result of this.
Because daddy could be telling him, like, boy, you a punk. You mean you ain't never had no woman? You better go take it. You know, I've heard of fathers doing that to their boys. Yeah. Yeah. They do that. Yeah, tell him go take it. Because you got to prove your manhood to me up in this house because you a punk. They bully him.
Bullying.
They do,
and
then
abuse.
they teach them how to be womanizers and how to be dominant over the woman and hang stuff over her head. Just take what he wants. So that's why these girls most of the time be out there fighting because he'll go parade another chick in that girl's face, and she get to fighting. No, I'm just telling you where it come from. Yeah, where it come from. Yeah, they tell them to go take it. Yeah, but they don't look at it as rape, though.
Yeah, I have. Well, can a husband or a wife rape their spouse?
Yes.
You already knew what I was gonna say. Then. Can a husband rape his wife? Can a wife rape her husband? Okay. Anybody say no? Let me see your hand. Don't be shy. Shanika, you saying no? No, I'm just playing. I'm just picking with you. I'm just picking. Well, I guess I was thinking along the lines of let's say
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I know somebody who is married, personally, a family member, who said her husband raped her in the middle of the night. He woke up, he wanted some, he took it. Woke her up out of her sleep, penetrating her. She did not want it. She classified it as rape because she felt violated. She was not prepped. She was not ready. She was not, able. She tried to get him off. He kept going because by the time she woke up, he was already in the action.
Okay.
So at this point, he didn't want to stop. Okay. So she's fighting him off, and he was like, "But baby, you mine, I'm yours," type of thing. I'm your husband. It messed her up. Okay. That caused her to cheat because she lost trust in her husband because now she didn't feel like it allowed her to be vulnerable. Hey.
Okay, so and let me elaborate on that. Were you finished?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically,
Okay.
yes. But he classified it as lovemaking because that's his wife, and he can have it whenever he wants to because the Bible says X, Y, and Z. She classified it as rape because she did not give him permission.
So, okay, right there. Let's talk about this. So, okay, let me say this. When we do things, we are influenced one way or the other. It's either good or evil influencing us, right? It's either going to be God or the devil. All right? There is always a spirit behind our actions. Let's say, okay, like he was talking about, okay, let me give you another scenario. Y'all keep that in mind what he said. Let's say a wife is being abused by her husband. He beats her. He controls her. She doesn't know how to get out of the marriage. And he beats her while he takes the sex. So it's like, okay, he beat her. It can happen a bunch of ways. Okay, he's beating her up. He beat her up. She got a black eye, busted lip. She bruised all over her body. And now he was like, come on, let's have sex. And she says no, but he takes it. Is that rape?
Rape can be as gentle as stroking your cheek and saying, "Baby, I love you." And if you say no and you put it in anyway, it's rape.
We have an obligation to our spouses when it comes to sex and stuff. But I strongly believe that no means no. I don't care if you're married or not. Now, if you take it, whether you're a man or a woman, taking it from your spouse, it's still by force because she's saying or he's saying no. Whatever the reason is, we talk about, I got a headache, or, I don't feel good, or I don't want to, or, or you just denying. That we're going to get into a whole nother discussion because why don't you want to have sex with your husband or with your wife? But that's another discussion. But let's say the wife, I see you. Let's say the wife has been getting beat up for years. She don't trust the man. She don't know how to get out, and she doesn't want to have sex with him. But he takes it and he beats her up while he's having sex with her. Still, same scenario, okay? It can happen a lot different. It's still rape. So those things happen to me. That's why I'm talking about that part right there. It was a real live case, and I know that this happened to women who are in abusive situations. So it happens, and it is still rape. Okay? Yes.
My thing is this: as a man, if I'm dating somebody, because I've had premarital sex, I'm not a virgin. If I marry somebody, whatever. If somebody says that they don't want me inside of them, it's no longer a conversation. It's a done deal. It's a wrap. That is one of the most violating things. And as a husband, my question is, I would have to ask myself, why do I still want it after she said no? Why am I not able to back off? Why am I not able to respect her wishes? Because there are other ways for me to get my rocks off. She didn't say no forever. She didn't say, no, I don't want you no more. She said, not right now. So why can't I wait until she's ready? That's the question for me.
And if my husband now were to do, if he were to, he doesn't do this, he doesn't violate me, but it would mess me up if he did, or if I violated him. I don't know how bad it would mess him up, but he'd be like, what the? Okay, so I cannot violate him. I cannot violate him. Okay. And I would never try that. I would never try that. But in my first marriage, I was violated the whole 3 years I was married through abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, rape. Okay. I got out the marriage. At first, I didn't know how to get out. Sometimes you are in a situation you don't know. And I do these scenarios for a reason, because so many people don't know how to get help. You don't know how to get out. You don't know how to deal with your situation. So I know we're having fun, but these are real life scenarios, and it's serious and it's real. Okay? So we have to understand that there is always help. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you're dealing with, even if you're in a situation right now, or you know someone who is in a situation, there is always help. Always. Janila.
I'm not gonna say nothing crazy. I just was about to say that, like, sometimes even in the rape, a girl or whoever can just give into it. And it was something that you said probably years ago in one of our women's meetings or something. But basically is that our bodies are designed to want sex with the one that we're supposed to be with, or our husband's wife, whatever. But it still consists of rape because you said no, just because you give in. Some guys or whoever will be like, I ain't hear you complaining, or you ain't say nothing after but no meant no. So, yeah, that's all.
And then a lot of times, I heard Tyler Perry say one time, my body betrayed me. And what that mean is he was being molested by someone, by an adult. I think he was saying, I don't know if y'all heard his testimony or not, but I think it was a babysitter at one point, or a woman, a family friend or something, and then a male nurse molested him when he was in the hospital for something. But I can't remember what happened, but and he said even though it was molestation or rape or whatever, he said his body betrayed him, meaning it felt good because he wasn't violently raped. You know, he wasn't beat up or anything like that. But he said he knew it was wrong and it felt wrong, but it also felt good to the flesh. And that's what, and you give in. You give in the process. You can give in or whatever. It depends on situation. But yes, I agree with that. And then you reminded me of what he had gave a testimony on about that. It's a few minutes to 8 o'clock. Anybody got any questions or comments? No, I appreciate everybody participating. We didn't get, I know we probably need another session, I guess. Okay, okay, all right. So we got to what, we're on 8 to 9. Okay, that was number 8, okay. So if I could have those back, huh? Oh, okay. If you